By grade 1, learners have been familiarized with patterns from a young age. As they start to learn numbers, they can start to recognize that there are patterns within the number system and can therefore make generalizations about different relationships and rules. Before moving on to the more formal aspect of number patterns, ensure that your learners understand the concept of patterns. This includes the elements, core, structure, and so on, at a 2D and 3D level with pictures and objects. Being able to read and extend number patterns requires young learners to think at an abstract level, which often poses as being a challenge to FP learners. Being able to recognize the relationships, rules, and patterns within the number systems develops the foundational skills of algebraic thinking that learners need throughout their school mathematical journey. At the foundation phase level, learners are given the opportunity to investigate number patterns and make discoveries and develop a number sense. The foundation phase teacher cannot move on to formal or complex number patterns if his or her learners are not developmentally ready to do so. It is advised to have materials on hand such as counters, blocks, and pictures to help children who struggle to think at an abstract level and need a few more concrete experiences. The teacher has the responsibility of planning opportunities for learners to investigate the patterns in numbers in an informal manner and to not rush or push them to pick up on patterns that they are not able to grasp yet. It is important to be patient with your learners and rather start with very simple number patterns. The next few slides take a brief look at some types of number patterns foundation phase learners will come across and investigate. When children begin counting, they will begin to notice a set of patterns. Having a chart with numbers on it, or a number line, will help learners to see the pattern and learn to count in a chronological order. They will see the numbers 0 to 9 are repeated in order, and by grade 3, they should be able to count and recognize numbers up to 1000. Practicing skip counting on a number line will also show learners patterns within the number system and helps them to extend patterns. Start with counting in 2s, 5s, and 10s. If you give a learner the pattern 10, 20, 30, and ask what the next two numbers are, they will notice how it is growing by 10 and should be able to say 40 and 50. Very basic addition and subtraction combinations help learners to recognize the relationships numbers have with one another. In grade 1, practice addition and subtraction at a concrete level by using blocks or counters. For example, if you want them to make the number 7 with two different types of counters, there are multiple ways they can make 7. Show them that they can use 1 and 6, 2 and 5, 3 and 4, and so on. Learners who are thinking at an abstract level can be taught what the addition, subtraction, and equal symbols mean, and can substitute that with numbers to make simple equations. For example, they can say 1 plus 6 equals 7, or 7 minus 1 equals 6. This is the first type of algebraic pattern they will come into contact with. After addition and subtraction have been well established, learners can start learning about multiplication and division. Once again, these basic equations show patterns, organization, and the relationships with numbers. Looking at this example of the 5 times table, when 1 to 5 is multiplied by 5, they are given 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25. And when these answers are divided by 5, the answers are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Learners will begin to pick up on the patterns in the different times tables. For example, the 4 times table has the same numbers repeating at the end of each number, which are 4, 8, 2, 6, and 0. Allow learners to investigate and make generalizations about rules in multiplication and division. Number charts are a great visual way to show learners number patterns. Give them a blank number chart and get them to use different colors to show patterns. They could color in all the odd or even numbers, all the numbers that have 5s and 0s in them, or every third number. They will pick up on the patterns and predict which numbers they need to color in next. Get your learners to investigate the charts and ask them questions on the different number patterns. For example, ask what they notice about every 5th number, every 4th number, and so on. Using base 10 blocks is an effective method to teaching learners who are still thinking at a semi-concrete level about patterns and numbers. For example, one tens rod is 10, two tens rods are 20, 3 are 30, and 4 are 40, and so on. This shows them how patterns can increase and grow from step to step. In grade 1, learners should be able to work with two-digit number patterns. In grade 2, they should be able to place value numbers up to 200, and in grade 3, they should be able to place value numbers up to 1000. They may also be able to break down numbers, such as 11 is equal to 10 plus 1, 12 is equal to 10 plus 2, 33 can also be called 3 tens, 3 ones, or 12 tens and 1 1. Being able to identify the place value of numbers helps learners to decompose numbers, which will help them with algebraic equations such as addition and subtraction, and completing number patterns or sequences. When learners first enter the abstract level of thinking, it may be beneficial to give them simple repeating number patterns, but keep in mind that these patterns have no real mathematical value and more serve the purpose of familiarizing learners with number symbols and getting them to read and describe patterns and explaining the rule. Provide many opportunities for your learners to experiment with growing patterns. This includes extending them, completing them, find missing numbers in a number pattern, and finding the rule or making a generalization about a number pattern, sequence, or equation. These activities have much more mathematical value and will benefit learners greatly in developing their algebraic thinking.